to another episode of Women Investing in Women. Robin and I are deeply touched and truly delighted to be able to do this and meet with our very empowering and deeply, deeply powerful women who are lighting up the world and bring their stories and their work to your forefront so that you can see how you too can shape the world, as well as you can reach out to them and truly collaborate with them. Our goal is to make sure that women know how to invest in each other and women know how to lift up each other so that the light we contain within ourselves can all come together and light up the skies. We can have our own version of a Christmas tree lighting, and we can do that every day. It is up to us to decide that we're going to do it. And thank you for our audience for continuously taking this journey with us and being a part of the guiding light to truly shape these conversations and lift up each other. Today, we are truly honored to introduce an amazing guest, Yolanda Carter. Yolanda has been a dear friend of mine for a long time now, a fellow Chicagoan. And Yolanda is one of those women who has that inner spark and that inner power. And when you meet her, you will realize she's going to prove to you what happened to you is not you. What you make of it and how you come out of it and how you help others benefit from your experience, that is who you truly are. So please welcome my dear friend and a truly inspiring woman, Yolanda Carter, who is an author of the book One Eyewitness. She is writing an anthology and so many other books she's going to talk to you about. And she's also the founder of an organization called Beautifully Scarred. Yolanda, yes. With hugs, I welcome you to this conversation.
Well, hello. Thank you for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here on today. Well, yes, I'm Yolanda Carter, and I am a survivor of domestic violence. Not only am I a survivor, I'm a thriver. Okay. Oftentimes that, as a survivor, our voices are that's never get a chance to be heard. So I didn't want to just be a victim. I wanted to go above and beyond, even the fact that when it all transpired, domestic violence has been something that was not my first rodeo, and this was not my first encounter. But because of this incident that happened to me, this is when I had to re-dig, remember, sometimes you don't think we have to hash up things that was in our past. So I never thought that I was actually in a domestic violence relationship because I never knew what domestic violence was. And that's why it's so important for us to be able to be educated on and know the telltale signs, the warning signs, the red flags, what domestic violence really looks like. Because I remember, because not even knowing what it really was, I knew it was dysfunctional. I knew I was being abused physically, but I never watched it growing up, never heard my parents argue before. It was something that was very foreign to me. So it was something that I never knew. And imagine me even going through, all I knew was that I had children by this person and he was physically abusing me. So as time go on, we don't know a lot of times. What we do is we repeat patterns, the patterns of getting with the same type of people, different face, but same behaviors. And there's so many times that we don't know why, but that seems to be normal. We normalize so many things that it just becomes normal. Oh, they do great things for you. We think that is love. It's just like a person in a fairy tale relationship. Oh, they groom you, to trust them. They make you feel special. They, give you everything that you desire and want, just to confuse you, to make you believe that this is how life is supposed to be. But then when it all falls down, there's that's when that's the honeymoon phase of the relationship that we look at it because it's so good. It's like, oh my God, this is the perfect man or the perfect woman. Because one thing we know, domestic violence is not just an intimate partner. It's not just a woman's issue. Domestic violence goes both ways. So that's why we need to be educated on knowing exactly what domestic violence is. The writing was definitely on the wall for me. I thought that I didn't know what I was looking at because I didn't understand it. I realized after all the trauma that I've gone through, I was really literally in one bad relationship to another bad relationship. And all of them have the same characteristics. It was abuse. Maybe all of them may not have been um, physical, but they were all some type of mental, emotional, the verbal, psychological, and financial. But you can also go through spiritual abuse, but that was not one of the abuse that I go to because I was still willingly able to go to church. I was still able to do the things that I wanted to do. But I want to say, um, going further down for the sake of time, I met this guy. I want to say in 2017. I mean 2007 or 2008. I was at a repast from a young man that passed on. He got murdered. As a matter of fact, on the porch that we used to live in years ago. And I was at a repast, and I met this guy. To me, he was so charming. He was so charismatic, and I just thought that this was the one. He was amazing. He gave me things and showed me things that I never thought, taking me places and doing so many amazing things. But we lose focus on what's really going on because we look at all the good, we look at all the great things. But then when after that honeymoon phase, that's when the tension building started. And you was like, oh my God, how did this come from one thing into something else? How did we get to this point where you start disrespecting me? You started talking to me, calling me the B words and saying things that was not I didn't understand. So you stopped talking to me for days at a time. You threw my phone down the alley. You call, just a lot of things that was not adding up to me.
Yeah.
I dismissed it.
Mhm.
I thought it was just something that they were going through. And what we do is we dismiss it. We make excuses for bad behaviors.
Yolanda, I know in an earlier conversation before we were recording, you talked about that domestic violence is like the elephant in the room, that people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to acknowledge it because it's obviously very personal. It's very, challenging. There's a lot of shame involved. And so what did you find was helpful to say, hey, there's an elephant in the room, not only for yourself individually, but for people in general, to say there's an elephant in the room. What can we do? Let's acknowledge it at the minimum, and then what can we do about it?
Well, I think the most important thing is to identify and to really stop being in denial. And for us to say, you know what, this is an issue and it's something that's going on. It's time for us to speak up and speak out. And it's okay. We understand that there's going to be times when you're in fear, because a lot of times the fear is what causes people to stop talking. They don't want to say the wrong things. They feel like, okay, well, I just want to shove it up on, because domestic violence has always been a shoved up under the rug situation. And because of the family dynamics of, oh, this is not what our family is about. You don't tell people those situations. Why are you telling people your business? That's nothing you should tell people about. So that's how a lot of people was brought up. So because of those type of situations, we shy away from really honestly telling our truth. So I think it's important for us to make sure that we have to tell people, look, you know what, this has happened to me. And a lot of times when you don't, we cover it up so long, it's something that sits dormant in you. And when it starts to fester, we start having different behaviors. We start having different type of emotions. So it's important for us to break that cycle. It's okay to speak up. It's okay to speak out. Let's talk about it, because we have to have these type of hardcore conversations, not only with ourselves, with our children as well, because it comes learned behavior. Once you have children and they see the abuse going on in the home, they start mimicking what they see. So we want to make sure that we are giving them the tools to make sure that they are able to know, look, this is what I've gone through. I don't never want you to have to relive what I've gone through, because it becomes learned behavior. You watch what I do, you're going to start allowing people to start abusing you, or you're going to become the abuser. So it's either one or two ways it's going to start happening. So yes, I really strongly believe that we should, as a whole, to start being able to have enough courage, because you have to have a lot of courage to be able to speak up and speak out about it. And it's okay. It's
And so
really okay.
that's an excellent point you bring up, Yolanda. A lot of times when young children in their middle school, in their high school are acting out, it's
Yes,
an indication of something not working out at home.
absolutely.
So I have a two-part question. As teachers and community members who are not aware of what's going on at home, but who see the young people act out or behave in a way that is not natural for a happy child, right?
Mhm.
A happy youth. What are the right ways for them to step in and engage with this young person to understand and support? And the second part of the question is, how do we raise sons not to become abusers and daughters not to settle for abuse in return for things? Because
Okay,
we live in a material society and boys are taught never to feel. So it erupts into physicality, right?
right.
And girls are seeing in social media being witches about having things. So
Mhm.
how do we break the cycle on both ends, allowing people to step in and then teaching the youth and engaging them in a way that feeling is okay and things are not everything?
Okay, so to answer the first question is that, and I always talk about this, a lot of times when young children, not only young teenagers as well, they go to school and they act out. And the first thing what we say is, oh, they so bad. They just need a good old fashioned whooping. But you don't understand what these children have to go through at home to be able to just show up every day. They are going through something so traumatic, and then they come home, so they have behaviors behind it. So I think that it needs to be a professional that can look into what the family dynamics is, and also you can look and see the body language. You can see how they really act out, and then you have to be able to uh, seek some type of help for them. Reach out to the family member, or even sometimes a lot of them don't have family. A lot of them are acting out because they don't have family. They don't have no one to love them, and then the abuse they see growing up, it becomes normal, and they start being numb to it. And that's when they start wanting to pick on other people. They want to fight other people because of what they are watching. It's learned behaviors. So that part is very important for us as someone that's outside looking in, as a professional. They should be able to see and acknowledge that this is an issue. We need to really get to the bottom of what's going on, instead of judging them, instead of taking them in places and making the situation work. Because a lot of times teens just want to be heard. They want to be, they want to say, what do you need? And that's what I've heard a lot of times, because I was working with the teens in the high school, and a lot of them would say, nobody ever asks us what we needed. It's always, you do this, you do that, go do this. And you're not supposed to have emotion. A lot of times they say the teachers feel like they shouldn't have a voice. They don't have emotions, but they do. They need to be heard. They need to find out what the root problem is, so you can dissect it and really understand what's going on, so you can get them the proper help. The second part is that, what was the second part? I'm sorry, of the question.
How can people know to get involved, and what are the boundaries of that? Outsiders, teachers, community members.
Okay, so there are boundaries. There are definitely boundaries. You can't go above and beyond. What you need to do is absolutely understand, first of all, talk to someone that may be related or of the family member, because a lot of times people will tell you, well, you don't ask my children these questions, that's none of your business. But it is our business when these children are coming here behaving in certain manners, or they have been abused at home. That's when it becomes everyone's issue, the school's issue, and everyone else's. But we have to make sure that we have to go in with very, very easy. You can't go in and just say, well, this is what I'm going to do. And we have to have, we have to be able to recognize, identify what these children are really going through. I know that I dealt with a difficult child, which was my son, that actually saved my life. I used to, every day, it was a day that I just didn't understand, why do we have to behave? And a lot of times these children they missing their other partner, the father, and there's no father in the home. It's just the mother. They act out because they just need attention. They need someone to listen. They need someone to love them. And that's what a lot of them are not getting, the love and support that they need.
Exactly.
So that's,
I was going to say, you have done a masterful job of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, acknowledging what you had gone through, and turning it around and making something good of your life, and then going above and beyond that and creating beautiful pathways and opportunities for other people. And I like the term, I did not invent this term, but I heard the term durable optimism. You're durable, that you see the challenges, you acknowledge what is real, but the optimism in that you say things can get better and I can do something to make things better. So what gave you what was a driver for you to turn your life around and make good out of it, and then move forward to help others?
okay. Oh my God. Now, initially, when I laid in that hospital bed, God spoke to me and told me everything that was going to happen for me. It was going to come to me. So I knew, after this very traumatic experience, I didn't want to just keep it to myself. I didn't want it to just be just amongst our just family members. I wanted the world to hear my story. I wanted to help someone else that has been through some type of traumatic experience, not even if it's worse than mine or not as bad as mine. But I knew that I had to do something. I had to advocate. It was just in my spirit, even just to listen to someone else go through any type of abuse, because it should never be accepted. That's because the reason why so many people are hurting people is because hurt people hurts people. Hurt people hurts people because of all the childhood traumas and all the traumas that have never been diagnosed. No one has ever been to the doctor. No one has ever seen a therapist, because what the stigma is behind seeing somebody, oh, you crazy. You don't see these doctors. You must go and see the quack doctor. That's crazy. You don't need to see nobody. You just need to get on the right track. And people don't understand. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength. And healing is a journey. So I wanted the world to hear my story. I wanted to start advocating. I wanted to beat these streets. I wanted to, like, Lord, I just wanted to help so many people, because of after that has happened to me, that is something I would never want no one to live. I woke up in a pool of blood fighting for my life. And if I can help anybody, I was doing my job. So it started me sharing my story on a lot of platforms, just listening to people telling me how it inspired them for me to share my story. Now they can feel the strength and the courage to share their stories. And it's just a lot of thank you so much. You just don't understand, because we don't know when we are sharing our stories how impactful it can be for someone else. And it just made me realize, wow, I am helping somebody. So I want to continue the help and to be able to let them know that I'm here. I'm going to listen. If you need me, I'm there. So what I did was I started after the healing, because it takes a lot of strength, a lot of surgeries I've been through. And every surgery, it's still the healing. I've had 13 reconstructive surgeries. Can you imagine? Still having motivation in your heart to help others through when you have gone through it yourself. But you so selfless and say, you know what, I'm gonna push me aside and I'm gonna help others, because I don't want no one to say, you know what, they're being left behind. They feel like they're alone, but you're not alone. There's help and there's hope. Just continue to fight the fight and you will come through. I always tell people, I feel like that phoenix rising up out of his ashes. Now I'm soaring, because I had to learn to turn them lemons into lemonade.
Absolutely.
I had to learn to just say, you know what? I am no longer a victim. I'm a survivor. I'm a thriver. I don't want no one to feel sorry for me. I wanted the world to see what strength can look like. Not to be boastful or accolades or anything. It's just to encourage and inspire others, because you know that where you've been, it ain't where you've been, it's where you're going. And that is
That's
so
true. That is so true. And that's where we met you, right? Mike and I met you when you were coming out and rising up and making a difference in Chicago. And so as we have to bring this conversation to a close, I really do want to take a minute and have you share a little bit, in a couple of sentences, share about the anthology you're writing, and also mention the not-for-profit you founded. Okay. Because those are important resources for people to have, and I don't want to miss out on that.
Yes, the latest book that we're getting ready to launch out it's called The Book of Ruth, and I'm so excited about that one. And amongst the other ones that I've written was Beauty for My Ashes, and Gone Girl 31-Day Mask Up Devotion, and these are just a few books right here. And this one is Love, Hurt, and Shattered Dreams, and Gone Girl, Beauty for My Ashes. And I redone Beauty for My Ashes because it wasn't enough in there to educate enough. So I wanted to put it out there, and then also have a more education about the domestic violence, and a lot of more of the telltale signs, and also the 1-800 number, but this was my very first one. And this is one Eyewitness, the very first book. And it's a very educational. It has all the myths and everything, because a lot of times there's myths behind domestic violence. Oh, I'm a woman. How could I be a domestic violence abuser or something? They think that just because you're a woman that you cannot be the abuser as well. But now I'm just so honored and blessed to be able to be a CEO and founder of Beautifully Scarred. And Beautifully Scarred was something that I wanted. I came up with different names, and one of my girlfriends was like, Yolanda, Beautifully Scarred, because I was like playing with the name Beautiful Scars because I got so many scars, and I just didn't want it to be about myself. I wanted to be so that other people can relate to scars. Everybody has some type of scars, even if it's a mental, emotional scar. It can be just living life scars. So I just wanted you to be able to know that your scars, you are still beautiful. So it's called Beautifully Scarred, Beautifully Scarred. And it is a nonprofit organization. And my mission is to just make sure that I want to have women, men, and children to service resources, rising above the adversities of them thinking that there's no one there for them. We're going to provide services for, first of all, education. And because a lot of times we need to be educated on what domestic violence is, how it looks, and we want to be able to educate them so that they can go back into healthy relationships, knowing the telltale signs, warning signs, be able to have safe housing for people that has to run away from their abusers, and food, clothing, and shelter. So we definitely going to need a lot of support. So you can also go on the website, which is Beautifully Scarred at myyahoo.com, if anybody wants to support it to help, so we can make this happen.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. You have given us a wealth of information, and I know there's so much more to explore that we'll have to have you on as a guest on some other time, but what you've shared with us has been just absolutely powerful and touching, and thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
Thank you, Yolanda. It's been such a pleasure. And I know your message is going to resonate for women, and they're going to take this to heart and start actually an introspective journey. And Robin, it's always a joy co-hosting with you. I couldn't ask for a better partner to take this journey to help lift up women and celebrate women. And
Yes.
For our audience who join us, follow us, engage in these videos with us, we just want to take a moment and remind you, you are a source of inspiration. The light inside of you, the spark inside of you is enough. And find that, embrace that, and show up in your power. And don't let anybody take that spark away. Don't let anybody try and put a lid on that light. And don't let anybody own your power, because that is a gift from your maker to you. And the gift we each can give our maker is to own that power and spread our light. And I wish all the women a safe journey ahead. And remember, we're all there for each other. Reach out, because together we truly can build a safer and happier life.